Oh, finally. It's been a work trying to go live from this channel. I had to go from the PC from my Mac, and first time, I don't know, I guess I should have tried it earlier or whatever. So, but that didn't work. But anyway, good morning. Well, good afternoon, family. This is your boy WiseDuality, aka JoBar Eliezer Qandu. God as to the one who encourages, I can do anything because my Father is with me. That is what JoBar Eliezer Qandu stands for. Today's message, I thought I had an agenda. I went to bed with one, but then I woke up and something else is 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 brewing and taking over. So when God breaks us, he breaks us for a reason, right? To get our attention, to bring us back to him, to make us look at ourselves. And when he did that for me, it's like all hell broke loose in my life, for real. Ignoring the call for many years, doing what I want to do, living life on my terms. you know, allow me to go through the valley, the wilderness, put me there. My actions, my choices and decisions landed me in captivity, you would say. You know what I'm saying? I was handed over to the Babylonians and the Assyrians when I was incarcerated. There was a guy there, I believe he was Jamaican, and every day wake up, I'll say something to him like, how you feeling today or something like that. He's like, just another day in Babylon. Just another day in Babylon. And that's what it was. It truly was, you know what I'm saying? But it was a lesson there, you know. It was definitely a lesson there to be to be learned, to be understood. You know, when you live in opposition to God's will, what He has purpose for your life, as opposed to what you believe is right, correct for yourself. So, tell you a little bit about me. I'm 48, born and raised pretty much in Philadelphia. Lived in other cities, New York. Spent time in Baltimore, Albany, Georgia. I lived in Houston, Texas. I said New York, South Bronx. Anywhere else? Delaware. Claymont, Delaware. Lived in Claymont, Delaware as well. And as a boy, as a young man, I understood death. I had an understanding of death pretty early. You know, I I didn't know it was a calling on my life then, but as I got older and understanding my bloodline and the Catawba Native Americans from out of South Carolina, Rock Mills, South Carolina, I believe. It's where my grandmother's family is from. The tribe that I belong to. That's not my only blood. I mean, we all have the African blood in us and the white European blood in us. I'm actually one of the darkest people in my family. Like, for real. Like, most of my family are light skinned, damn near white. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I was always like the black sheep. You know what I mean? That was my grandmom's nickname for me, Blackie or Black Boy. Well, she called me Black Boy. Everybody else called me Blackie. You know what I'm saying? So, I had this understanding of death in at a very young age, and it produced a lot of fear and not so much as anxiety, but emotions and emotional overwhelming of emotion. Most people would call me an empath. I used to cry when I would leave from my grandmom's presence, and that side of the family that I held dear, and nobody could understand why every time I would leave I would cry. And it wasn't until later on in life, after I went through you know the consequences of my behavior. We're going to get into all of that. And I started to seek God and know God and understand. I understood what it was. And it was that I knew that these people that I love were going to die and that I would never see them again. So when I would leave their presence, it was like, to me, it was like I would never see them again. So it was like the way and how I cried so deeply as a little boy. I wasn't a cry baby, I was not that, because I was a fighter. Uh, I was a fighter in the neighborhood. I had plenty fights as a young boy, fighting almost every day. So it wasn't that. I wasn't soft. I just had this the love that I had for my grandmom and for certain members of my family and being around them. I just never wanted that to end. So I guess you could say then, that was the beginning of my abandonment issues, or I would say never wanting to leave, always feeling like that was the end. And eventually I grew out of that just through pain, being hurt in different ways, and understanding of letting go. I mean, I was one of those dudes that like, if somebody gave me a gift, it was so sentimental to me, and for someone to disrespect it or to violate it was a big problem for me, because I will hold it dear. Like, one time my cousin left his hat at our house, and it was, to me, it was like a treasure, you know what I'm saying? Because I loved him so much. I wanted to be like him, and he's no longer here now. And back then, I think it was like, one of my step cousins, because my dad was on his second marriage at the time, and he took the hat, or he did something, and it wasn't his, and we started fighting. You know what I'm saying? It was me and that guy. We had plenty of battles. We had the same name too, but they called him one thing and they called me another thing. You know, different variations of our name. So that's just the type of person that I was, and it's still part of me how I love and how I hold on to things and how I am, faithful to and loyal to what I love and what I believe in. So that kind of shaped my life, my younger days, this super empath that I was becoming, what that I already was, but discovering who I am. But on both sides of my family, very spiritual people on both sides, different levels and different per- perceptions or perspectives. Because on my father's side, it was more Bible based, and even though on my grandma's side, it was, Bible based, but we had the native spiritual aspects in us and around us, and several of our other family members, they were, Muslim, Sunni Muslim. So the spiritual part of my makeup or being was always there, and it was strong. It's like it's different people in my family have different gifts, and it's real. It's seriously real. It's like dreams, interpretations, you know. Mm. So as I grew into a young man, I guess love and partnership has always been a big priority in my life. It just has. My father was a married man, so I learned to be that at a very young age because that's how I grew up. That, my father had a woman, you know what I'm saying? He was in a committed relationship one way or another. And when he wasn't, he was walking his path, and again, he got married. So being a responsible man is a natural part of my makeup. So, in my teenage years, it cost me I suffered a lot of pain because what I believed, how relationships are supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? Just like it was just one person. And it wasn't until just being in different relationships with different women that I experienced infidelity and all of these things. And the pain shaped me into who I became, the beast that I became through the pain, through the mm, call it trauma. through the societal norms or the way of thinking, or from the females that I encountered. And it didn't matter. It's, I guess, just as teenagers, dating around and hopping around is normal, for real, for real. At that time, well, not really, because you're talking about the 80s, 90s, late 80s, 90s. I think people weren't. It was still more of a creeping type thing than it is today, where nobody wants to be committed, where everybody is just sleeping around with whoever, whatever, and there's no real unity in relationship, and no loyalty and faithfulness. There's no responsibility and accountability to come together with someone and grow and build. You know what I'm saying? To have a vision of family and to build. I mean, from what I see, I don't see that as the way of as the norm anymore. That's not the norm anymore. When I was growing up, that was the norm. You had your girl, your main chick, and that was that. Unless you was out there, fooling around, then you had your side piece or side pieces. You know, but for me, I tried the monogamous thing over and over, and it let me down every time. Every time. It's a beautiful day outside, out here in North Carolina, Fayetteville. So when God breaks you, and I say this because at a time when I thought that I was on top of the world, making good money, could do anything I wanted to do, I wasn't living righteous. I've always had the concept of that I knew that I was going to have to take a journey, a spiritual journey one day, and it was always there calling. And I say, "Oh, I'm gonna do it this year. I'm gonna do it this year or this time, or when I stop doing this, or when this happens, and all this," and just kept putting it off and kept putting it off and kept putting it off. Because when your call is always there, is always gnawing at you, is always a reminder, constant conviction that, hey, I want you to know me. I want you to follow me. I have something for you to do, and you need to come find out what it is. Be fed, be strengthened, be taught. And I kept running away from that, like Jonah. In one of my songs, I put it in there, like Jonah, a fearful boy, I ran away, made it through rebellious pain, consequences of my disobedience. You know what I'm saying? So I ran away from this calling, from this way of life, from the presence of God, and I had that retrobate mind. I had that erroneous criminal mind, uh, a deceitful mind, selfish mind. You know, even when I said I loved you, or I had love, or whatever it was I really having that love that I said? Because guess what? I wasn't even loving myself, so how could I love another? And I say that I wasn't loving myself because spiritually I didn't even know who I was. Physically, I was in great shape, you know. Financially, I wasn't doing bad. Mentally, I would say my mental health was intact. Still is. Emotionally, I was repressing and oppressing. And like most men that have beautiful things, what do? We put them in a cage, right? Or we worship them. And we have a jealous God, right? A consuming fire that he must be the one and the only one, the desire of your heart. And when you put people and things in front of him, oh man, eventually, when it's time for him to get your attention, when he had enough of your shenanigans and his patience has worn and he wants you now, he strips you of all everything and everyone. Yeah, he'll leave you some help. Those who are that have a purpose to their purpose is to help you through that time, through that season. But even they may not continue on through the journey. So what can I say? I had a career in information technology. So like I said, I made good money and I was a hustler. So I had more than one stream of income, and that produced the mentality of cockiness, which I spoke on before, the cocky mindset that I had, and arrogant, and nobody could tell me nothing. And I was going to live life on my terms and do what I wanted to do, and nobody can tell me nothing. And I had a woman for this, and a woman for that, and a woman for this, and a woman for that. All the while maintaining or illusion, mm, having an illusion of a serious relationship or an engagement or a marriage. This farce, this mask that I was wearing, living a double life, you know, passions on high. And like I said, just as a result of unfaithfulness, against me, I became that person of, oh, I can have a main girl and I'm gonna have this one and this one and this one and this one. And but the way that I was going about it, sneaking and lying about it and creating drama and bringing other people into it, men, how we do. We have our boys, yo, such and such call, how we do when we doing what we do. But it be those dudes that we think that we can trust, that be stabbing us in the back and giving up the information to help cause problems in your relationship, especially if you know they like what they see or they want a piece. And I've been on both sides of that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why You know, one of my charges that landed me in incarceration through greed of, you know, having an eye for a woman that was not mine, you know, betraying, a family member that was very close to me. He's, an apprentice, kind of like, that soaked up my knowledge. Actually, the only one who was willing and able to see the value in the knowledge that I possessed, you know. And he gave I gave it to him, and he took it and ran. He built his own thing from it, created his own thing. And I hurt him. I betrayed him. And anger runs deep. Scripture is true to, like what it says, that uh, when you take another man's wife, do you think that you would not, you know, being with another man's wife is like putting hot coal on your pants and expecting not to get burnt. you know, it's real. So all you guys that are out there, creeping with somebody else's woman, and you think you got away with it, no, you don't. You didn't. Eventually, it'll come back on you in one form or another. You know. So that situation cost me a lot. You know, it really did. Actually, it's been what, 10 years since. It's been a 10-year nightmare, actually, because it caused so much pain and such a rift in the family, in my family, in his family, in our family. It just did. It caused a lot of pain, but it revealed a lot of things that were hidden hidden under the table, that were in the dark, that were brought to light. You know, when you harm a person, in your reaction and your response, how far you go, the things you say, and the pain that you want to inflict on them is a direct result of what has already been within you that comes to be expressed, right? So, in a person's anger, that's when you truly find out how they feel, what they think concerning you. So, like I said again, when God breaks you, right? He breaks you for a reason. When he interrupts your life, there's something there that he wants you to see in yourself and those around you, in the path that you're on, and that's the path that you're walking and what it leads to. recently I put out a song called All Roads Lead to the Sun. Because they do. Because when God is for you, no matter what you do, you will arrive at the destination that He has set for you. Now, you can get there quickly, or you can roam around in the wilderness in circles. The Israelites, it would have took them 2.5 weeks to reach the promised land, but it wound up taking them 40 years. But all roads led them to where they were supposed to be anyway, to what was promised. Think about that. I know I put a lot of pressure on myself to create, to succeed, to achieve, to be not necessarily be heard, because I put my music out freely, and my reward is in one person that hears it besides me. So whether it's 1 or 2,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000, I'm satisfied because I was heard. And it gives me joy knowing that I am heard. So thank you all that chime in and listen, tune in, and those that chime in with, words of um, appreciation or words to encourage me to keep going, and words that humble me like this is fire, or they liked it, or any interaction, you know, if it's just the like button or just the views going up. I mean, it's all good for me. It's all love. It's all appreciated here. It is. It is. Hmm. I used to love this song called "Broken Together." It's a contemporary gospel song. Dang, I forget the name of the group. It's right on the tip of my tongue too. Mm. And he used to say, he was like, "Can we be broken together?" And I used to hold on to that song because when I first came home from being away for 4 years and, reuniting with my wife, and no matter, there was a disconnect there. And the cat's away, the mouse will play, right? And there was a disconnect. And that song was one of those things like that I would try to use to make her understand that we can be broken together. And that was maybe 6 years ago, almost 7 years now. But when things begin to continue to just fall away, and it was a complete separation, and I was broken, and I didn't know how to heal. I didn't want to heal. Well, I did. I wanted to heal from the pain. I thought that, healing my marriage was the answer. So that's all I wanted. That's all my mind was on until I turned my attention back to myself and to God, because while I was away, I spent 4 years doing nothing but feeding my spirit, filling up on all the scriptures. I read the Bible front to cover more than once, stayed in Bible studies. It didn't matter if it was talking about the Bible, scripture, or, religion, history, and all the history of the church and this, that, and the other, whatever form it was, I was there devouring it. I've had access to the Apocrypha and the Deutero canonicals, and yeah, so like the Gospel of Thomas, and even the Gospel of Jesus, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the Gospel of Mary the mom, the Gospel of Joseph, his stepfather. You know what I'm saying? Different books. The Gospel of Jacob, Israel, and on his deathbed when he was speaking to his 12 sons and how he was blessing them, and their different accounts, all the different accounts of the people of the 12 tribe. Joseph's testimony, besides the one that's in the normal 66 book Bible. So that's all I did was feed on that, and be in different groups, and soaking up different knowledge and understanding, and having real church. You know what I'm saying? Not just listening to somebody's sermon, but people just feeding and building and sharing the knowledge and their experiences of what God did for them, and how God has worked in their life, and how God is working in their life, and things, different uh, lights that have been shed on different scripture, and and how these things line up when you may have a different understanding or a different perception, but it lined up with what I thought about that scripture. Those are the things that are really, that's really having church right there. I like how Geno Jennings have church. You know, hey, there's a scripture that you want to discuss, let's discuss it. That's church. Not you come and you just listen to me. Everybody should be talking. Everybody have questions, should be having questions, should be wanting enlightenment on a scripture, or what they're thinking, their thoughts. Because are we as humans, aren't we supposed to be constantly pondering the scriptures? Are we not? That's what scripture says. Day and night, we should be pondering the scriptures, delving into them, uncovering the truth, digging deeper, not just scratching the surface, but digging deeper into the true meaning, or the spirit in it. Because the spirit behind the scriptures it's the spirit in the scripture. You know, that's what we're seeking. That's where the truth is. That's why when people say that the Bible, oh, it's been contaminated, or it's written by the white man, or it's European, and all, no, it's not. Because the truth that that is distorted in there, that has been revised or whatever, they couldn't get rid of the truth. They may have tried to whitewash it, uh, 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 water it down in different ways, or make it misleading or confusing or whatever. But if you are truly seeking God, you will find him. Point blank period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. When you seek him and truly seek him with all your heart, with everything within him, you will find him. You will see the truth. You will know the truth. You will understand the truth. And trust me, it will make your life better, but it will also make your life more difficult, because you can see through the lies in people. And it makes it hard when you are interacting, or you want to be with someone, or to be around people that don't know the truth, that don't are in falsehood, that are manipulating and deceiving, and they have no clue or desire to be spiritual, to be better than the corrupt person, the corrupt flesh that they are, you know. And it's hard. It's hard to find people that are going in the same direction that you are, once you once you began your walk of faith and your walk of walking with God, and knowing who you are, because you're not going in the same directions. And how can two people be together, build together, come together, except for an agreement, except if they're going the same way? If one person is not able to lead and both have their own agendas, how can you walk together when one is going straight and one is going to the left or the right or backwards, or just stop? And that's deep right there. That right there is enough to consume your mind for the rest of the day. Not worrying about bills, not worrying about war, not worrying about the economy, not worrying about who's going to be the next president, not worrying about what time it is, you know? I always say I'm in constant communication, constant communion with my Father. It's never ending. So I don't have to wait till Sunday to talk to my Father. I wake up talking to him, go to sleep talking to him in my sleep, listening, hearing, seeing. It's never ending. So this is day one, first time going live. Um, I'm gonna work on a structure so that I'm working off a particular topic and not just rambling and giving it to you as it comes or how I feel and going down, paths and breaking off onto different tangents and hopefully, being very clear in what it is that I'm trying to get across. So the topic was when God breaks us, he breaks us for a reason. And the answer to that is to return us to him, to get our attention, to return to him, to make a choice, to choose him, to return to him, to run to him. So that you can save yourself. Because nobody else can save you. No pastor can save you. You must save yourself. The veil was torn. There's nothing in between you and God except you and your choice to be separated from him. So when you start seeing your life as you see it falling apart, and you start to see difficulties have difficulties, he's trying to sit you down to bring you to a place to be quiet, to be still, to stop fighting, to confess. That you need him. For you to call upon his name, to know him by name. I call him Father, Abba, Yahweh, El Shaddai, Yeshua HaMashiach, the Son incarnate, the flesh that was filled with spirit, the example, the Christ, the anointed, the Messiah, the teacher, the rabbi, the one that shows you that it is possible, that God still lives and he wants to be one with you like he was with Christ. I am, I am. Me and my Father are one, although my Father is greater than I am. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm just going to say peace. May God bless you with shalom. Rest. The rest, the assurance, the presence that we had before the fall of man, before the first act of disobedience, before the separation. You have a choice to no longer be separated. So I'll leave you with one more question. That this is the question that I will always leave you with in my sessions with. Where is the love? Where is the love within? Where is the love between you and God? And where is the love between the woman and the man? if we want to fix the problems of what's going on in our homes, locally, statewide, nationwide, international, worldwide, then we must first heal the bond between man and God and man and woman. That's it. That's the balance. That's the order, the divine order for balance, for peace, for joy, for celebration, for life. Where is the love between the woman and the man? And how can you heal that, fix it, solidify it? Peace.